Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there. Welcome back.
Yeah, guys, in case you haven't, check out evolutionaryenergyarts.com. Learn more about us. You could always reach us at evolutionaryenergyarts@gmail.com. And if you're looking for any sort of appointment, feel free to reach out. Right now, we're a couple weeks behind. That's pretty typical, really, a couple weeks. And we are in the process of some big life changes ourselves. As we are heading for the Himalayas. Yes, we cannot get far enough from Babylon the Great. Just kidding. Just kidding, sort of. Anyway, check-in daily, Evolutionary, EEARTS, and Heart's Home. We did get one up this morning at Heart's Home early on, talking about some beings you may encounter after life. And yes, we don't just end. Actually, when you leave this life, and sometimes in some cases, it's not so much different. You just don't have a vehicle, but you might find yourself hanging around the same old haunts.
Right. It's all about expansion. Nothing ever ends. We just put ourselves in another place for another chapter in another book.
Absolutely. So there is nothing to fear with the great beyond. And, checking the news, we see Taliban attacks Iranian border post. Multiple troops dead and wounded. Heavy gunfire between Taliban militants. And this is the Taliban, again, just to remind everybody, we're talking about Afghanistan. Remember when the U.S. left all that weaponry behind and in such haste? And, yes, the Taliban said, thank you. Thank you very much. And so maybe they used some of it against Iran. And, you have the deaths of at least 2 Iranian border guards, more wounded. Flare-up between Taliban-controlled Afghanistan and the Islamic Republic of Iran comes amid a fierce dispute over water rights, specifically concerning access of drought-stricken Iran to the Helmand River. I can't remember if it was David Adapt 2030 or who it was that was talking. I think it was David, was talking especially about some potential for wars in certain countries when it came to water issues. And, here you go. This is exactly, and there's tension between states in the U.S. with water issues as well. Thankfully, we've had quite a bit of rain out in the West, and it isn't as bad a drought situation as it was. But here you go. This person tweets out, wasn't it a good idea for Iran to send their drones to Russia? And now they don't have any of a suicide format. Yeah, this is, it's so obvious what's going on in the bigger picture. And people are waking up, thankfully. So you see they're moving heavy equipment and armored fighting vehicles near the border with Iran. Iran was moving major equipment over in that direction about a month ago. And, I was wondering if it was going to be in support of any sort of conflict that was going to break out in Azerbaijan, Armenia, and now we see Serbia, Kosovo. It's like the whole world has got its finger on a trigger, so to speak.
Yeah, it's like life itself is got that hair trigger thing going on.
Absolutely. So, everywhere you look, there's conflict and there's crazy people out there.
And they don't even know they're crazy.
Yeah, it's scary. I mean, seriously, there's just chaos out there at this point in time. Drone attack damages Russian oil facility. Cross-border activity intensifies. More strikes going into Russian territory. More drone attacks. This is kind of the theme of the world right now is drone attacks. Next thing, you're going to have Terminator-looking cyborgs on the field and, glowing red eyes.
And those cute puppy dog with the, the metal feet.
Yeah, they did. I forget where it was. Was it Netflix or somebody else? Maybe it was Amazon had a series, a remake of The War of the Worlds. And it had those DARPA dogs in it. Not good, because they were all about exterminating humans. It's, again, you find so much of the sci-fi has got some basis in our reality. Citywide youth curfew begins in Baltimore as the mayor strives to restore law and order. So, curfew ordinance is in effect from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. all summer, and then that's for basically weekends and holidays, impacts teenagers 14, 15, 16. Another curfew for youngsters under 13 begins at 9 p.m. Yeah, it's really getting tense out there. But hey, you got an LA nonprofit giving meth pipes to homeless. You know, again, and there's so much fentanyl coming in. What these things do, well, obviously, they just completely ruin your life. They destroy your life. It destroys your health. And it opens you up to the darkest of dark entities. Truly, truly. If you're on these type of things, you're really opening yourself up for possession.
You know, and I don't like to bring fear to people, but the problem with this one is it literally eats at the soul. I mean, it eats the soul, and it's so horrible. And I know it is such a real fight out there when it comes to addiction. I mean, the struggle is so real, but you're fighting for your soul. It's just no good. And these controllers, they know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, because truly this is a battle for your soul in so many ways. And not only is it about, knocking us out of the body, as we've talked about, especially on Heart's Home lately, again, there are more disembodied beings than there are embodied in 3D by a mile, way more. So in some ways, it's an extreme privilege, believe it or not. I know some are going to have, a cynical remark. It is a privilege to have a body and be in the 3D because this is where the soul can grow. And under normal circumstances, it's not this dark an experience. This is it's like a playground that's been hijacked by a bunch of thugs is really what it is. And so, again, thankfully, when as the yugas change, the thugs get kind of booted away. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to get as many people to go with them as possible and to stay there with them because they are opportunistic, bottom-dwelling, bottom feeders.
And parasitic too. It's one thing where life lives off of life. That's the circle of life. It's just very common. But when one entity just latches on and continually takes the life force of another until the host is actually dead, that's just that's out of balance.
Yeah, think about, we were talking about money exchanges between family members and friends and things like that, and how you might get say somebody dies and they leave you so much money, the government's going to take some of that.
Yeah, it's horrible.
And then they're going to then they tax you on income, and again, you get taxed left, right, everywhere you look you're getting taxed. Now the reality is when we say the government, the illusion that they put out there is that it's all going to go right back to you. It's going to go back with, social programs, better roads, better infrastructure, this, that, and the other thing, maybe cleaner water, cleaner air. Yeah, no, it's not the case. They obviously, they're all about creating their own profit cycle. That's all it is. They are such parasites, and they truly live off of us in every way, shape, and form.
I know, and telling us that our communities are going to get better. How is that story working for everybody?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think it's going to get better by handing out those type of pipes? You just got to look. And more people are looking, more people are waking up. Fluoride lawsuit against the EPA. So do you trust the EPA? If you do, you should have your head examined. Do you trust the FDA? Again, you should have your head examined. Seriously. Or you don't have a clue because you just haven't been paying attention. Alleged corruption shocking under oath federal statements. Groundbreaking federal lawsuit could ban fluoride from drinking water. overturning a decades-long program aimed at preventing cavities. Yeah, sure. That has been challenged by mounting evidence of harm. The Fluoride Action Network, the FAN, sports radio, no, just kidding, sued the Environmental Protection Agency under Toxic Substance Control Act in 2017. Appears to be nearing its conclusion. Yeah, that's 6 years ago here, guys. You're moving slower than a turtle, more like that snail.
Yeah.
Under the act, citizens can challenge the EPA in court when the agency rejects a petition to ban or regulate a toxic substance. The FAN's suit is the first in the 44-year history of the act to actually get to trial. The lawsuit has included pointed testimony from leading experts on environmental toxins and emissions from both EPA and Centers for Disease Control and Prevention officials that fluoride could be linked to specific harms. Could be. Hello, wake up. The lawsuit has also revealed government interference in crucial scientific findings. The lawsuit has brought attention to new research that links fluoride exposure to damaging neurodevelopment effects, concerns that have sometimes been deemed CONS piracy theories. Opposition to fluoridation is now at least 70 years old, but for most of that time it's been wrongly dismissed as fringe and unscientific position. FAN's executive director Paul Connett said in a statement, "The rapidly emergent science on developmental neurotoxicity, especially loss of IQ, if it seems like people are dumber out there, yes they are, and here is one reason why. It's early life exposure to fluoride." Absolutely. Many of the most important science on fluoride has come via research funded with millions of dollars by the National Institute of Health. Some of that research has concluded the risk to children is too great to consider water fluoridation safe. The lawsuit began after the EPA rejected a petition filed in November 2016 that called the agency to protect the public and susceptible subpopulations from neurotoxic risk of fluoride by banning the addition of fluoridation chemicals to water. The petition referenced more than 2,500 pages of scientific documentation dealing with the risks of water fluoridation to human health, including more than 180 published studies showing that fluoride is linked to reduced IQ and neurotoxic harm. When you look at the Plague Upon the Land and the volume of scientific literature that was out there, that there is nothing about the cure for the Plague Upon the Land that comes even close to all this documentation, and yet it was completely pushed through. Even when there was other documentation that people knew this is going to be an issue. This is obviously an issue. There's truckloads of evidence. It's ignored on purpose. Again, you could either take that all these alphabet soups out there are absolutely they must drink nothing but fluoride because they're morons.
They're really on a mission to make sure that their wallets stay padded and they still have a certain amount of income. So to me, you look at, we were talking earlier today about the government and the mafia, and that old saying, if you can't beat them, join them. And I think at one point there was a government and separate a mafia, but it really seems now it's like, well, it's just kind of like bled together and it's all one big family now.
Well, I have to differ a little bit on that one because, again, the corruption goes all the way back to Rome. And we saw the Roman senator families. The Roman senators, they were just as corrupt as our senators here in the U.S. now. And so many of them were so deeply entrenched, like Lindsey Graham, and we could go on with so many others, both sides, Dems and Republicans. Again, if you're only pointing your fingers at one side, then you're still totally lost yourself. It's completely a world chaos system that we find ourselves in. But it's not really chaos is the thing, because you're either gotta say these people are totally, completely incompetent, or they have a different purpose. And, it just is so much more obvious and so much more logical to say that they have a different purpose than their stated purpose.
They do. I mean, it's that thing. They're very, very good at organizing crime and making it look like it's legitimate. And then we're the ones who have to follow the rules, because if we don't, there's very real consequences. There's even very real consequences of just speaking this stuff on YT. It's not safe, but sometimes when you sit on things and you know how wrong they are and you have the ability to speak that so that maybe somebody else can get out from in front of the Mack truck and do something different. I can't help but just to keep saying something until I'm not.
Absolutely. So obviously it's in toothpaste. And again, we make our own toothpaste, and you could just search that on both Evolutionary and EEARTS and get our toothpaste recipe. It's pretty simple, and it's worked better than the store-bought ones. No fluoride needed. No, it was sold as raticide and insecticide way before it was put into the drinking water and in your toothpaste. This is what sodium fluoride was used for. Poison. It was poison. You could see, I mean, there's so many old-time ads that show this. In 1955, Crest became the first fluoride toothpaste. It also calcifies your pineal gland, your third eye, which literally has rods and cones, just like your other eyes. And this is that which links you to other densities. They can't have you seeing other densities. This is why they tell the fundamentalists, that everything out there is a deceiving spirit. But it's them that are telling you that are the deceiving spirits. Yes, the world is going to have an end times deception. It's what you believe.
Right.
That's the deception. If you trust the media, if you trust any of these alphabet soups, and again, if you trust the books that they give us, then you're trusting their system. It's so toxic that it is considered hazardous waste. Hazardous waste. Fluoride, the silent killer. Waste byproduct of the fertilizer and aluminum industry. It's the basic ingredient of both sarin nerve gas and Prozac. And then again, now whether you're, on the illegal side with, as we were talking about those pipes being handed out, and the F word, F-E-T-N, F-E-N-T, sorry guys, anal. This stuff is really, it's in the same category. It's, sarin nerve gas. Have yourself a little sarin nerve. That's insanity. It was used in Nazi prison camps to make prisoners docile, subservient, lower IQs. It's used as an insecticide. Linked to thyroid problems, low IQ, brain damage in babies, cancer of various forms, neurological damage. And it doesn't really help with cavities. Again, they did this. Yes, the NAZISs did this. Makes people docile. And it's not just that. Unless you're looking at everything you're putting into your mouth, and you're not just putting it in your mouth. How about your shampoos? And I didn't go down that route here. But again, shampoos, your soaps, if you're using any sort of perfumes or colognes, look at what's in them, because your body absorbs through your pores. So you're soaking all sorts of toxins into your body on a routine basis. And Heritage Farm chicken, you can find it at a lot of places, and there's many other chickens too, carrageenan. Cancer causing. Yes, pet foods too. Absolutely. It's in pet foods, it's in our foods. This is a Dr. Axe article, again, talks about the dangers, and there are many. It can cause ulcers, it can cause neoplasms. Not good. And this is a NIH article talking about the harmful effects of it. And it's everywhere. It's everywhere. They're sticking it everywhere they can. Why? Uh-oh. No, nothing unplugged. It was just somebody checking in. Yeah. Testosterone levels plummeting in young men due to looking at certain material as linked to social isolation. Well, if, again, that does cause loosh. That does cause loosh. So, if you think it's part of the agenda to constantly be inciting a certain energy in humans, absolutely, because just as anger, hatred, all those negative emotions can cause loosh, so can this. And there are entities that you can't see that feed off of that all day long. But the other thing, there's a lot of other things that are killing testosterone. And one of the first things is plastics, estrogen. Plastics are in most people's poop. When you're pooping, a lot of you are pooping plastics. I mean, we have to include ourselves. We don't know. We don't drink out of plastic bottles. No, we do not drink out of plastic bottles. We don't buy any liquids and take them in that I could think of with plastic bottles. We avoid them like the plague. They can cause all sorts of problems. Absolutely. They will wreck your hormone balance, their natural hormone balance. And you want to go on to talk about, getting your lawn looking all green. Oh my gosh. Insanity there. Roundup has been linked to over 29 diseases. DNA damage, liver cancer, lymphoma, skin cancer, hormonal disorders, kidney damage, infertility. Yeah, you wonder why humanity is becoming infertile. It's because of everything that's around us. Glyphosate induces human breast cancer, and it's found in mother's milk in so many people now. We have been made completely poisoned and toxic, and it's not really, in my humble opinion, I don't think it's neglect, and I don't even think it's even just that they're greedy and it saves them a few bucks. I think that affects the management at certain levels, but at the highest levels, they know everything they're doing. Everything.
They really do. And I don't like to put things out here without having some type of solution. So if you're one that you are having a lot of, you think you have these chemicals coming in your body, Vitex, do your research, make sure it's safe for you to take. But Vitex is a very, very powerful balancer when it comes to hormones. It helps you detox those naughty estrogens, the bad ones.
Almost everybody uses cell phones in this world right now. And it's interesting, too, because our good friend Alois Urmeiler, he saw this back in the 50s. He said people are going to be talking into these little boxes. They're going to be walking around staring in their hand at this little box, talking and almost ignoring the rest of the world. So he saw that way back in the 50s. And yeah, absolutely. They'll tell you, no, don't worry about your cell phone. It's not going to do anything. Yes, it will increase the chance of cancer. Every single thing that we look at, using your cell phone for just a half hour a day increases your risk of brain tumor by 40%. Do you think that's just another coincidence? When you look at all these former heads of like CDC, now working for Merck, FDA working for Pfizer, FDA working for Moderna, and it goes on. And even in the news, Reuters working for Pfizer. You see this round robin, whether you're talking about the media given their spin, the politicians given their spin, or the spin that comes from places like the FDA, the CDC, et cetera, et cetera. And again, with YT, they'll say, we removed your video because it went contrary to the FDA or the CDC. We removed your video. You're not supposed to talk about the things that we do wrong. And we don't want people to know when we really, really are hurting their health.
No, they don't. It's very important that they keep this covered up, because what they really love, their most favorite thing, is to have customers from cradle to grave. The medical system is a business. It's a business. And with any good business, you want repeat customers. And they're just, they're having this repeat after repeat after repeat customers, unless you take the time to back away and figure out and see what you're doing wrong and change your ways, which is, gosh, that is so hard. If you're in the system and you're really sick and you're needing these medicines and now you're trying to get away from it, oh my gosh, it's doable, but it takes time.
Absolutely. So, here is a tweet that's being quoted of a tweet from Dr. Ahmad Malik. So you see more people like surgeons now all of a sudden looking up and saying, wait a minute, I went outside to do my grounding and soak in the sunlight this morning. I couldn't help notice this. This ain't normal. They're not condensation trails. They're not disappearing. I never saw this as a kid growing up. I don't know. He's probably in his 40s. What are these? Why and who is doing it? And then, of course, added for context, contrails. Yes. Full fact on contrails. Yeah. Do you find this helpful? Can we rate it? Yeah, let's rate it, guys. Let's rate it. Is this nope helpful? No. Why? Sources not included. Sources don't. No. Incorrect information. Opinion or speculation. Misses key points. Yes. And yeah, you're harassing humanity.
Yes.
Yeah.
We did it.
Yeah. And by the way, they blocked me out at Twitter. I had to go out. I had to reboot everything and come back up because, they know we use Twitter a lot. This was really, really cool. When you look at things in slow motion and up close, isn't that really cool? Just the blowing out of a candle. Look at the patterns. We live in a fractal universe, and so there is a pattern to everything. The whole is always contained within the individual, and we are all interconnected. And us, when we're talking about us and who we are, we extend far out beyond the body, way out beyond the body. That's part of why when somebody walks in the room and they got some bad vibes going, you could sense it. Well, your energy field and their energy field's already interacting even when you're a dozen feet away. And you could sense it, and we can sense the bull. And boy, we're smelling a lot of it.
I know. Yeah, get some shovels out. But anyway, this is really cool. I think it was kind of therapeutic to watch. And then there's this little guy. He has no worries. He's catnapping. He has his little clogs down there. He
kind of reminds me of Garfield. I mean, he's as fat as Garfield. He's just not the right color, right?
He's not the right color, but boy, oh boy, is he just happy and content. And really, all of us should be pretty happy and content.
Yes, we should. And again, it's not that 3D is dark. No, not at all. It's just we happen to find ourselves on a planet that is basically being run by these parasitic bottom-dwelling ticks and leeches, for lack of a better analogy. And, they're just riding on everybody's coattails, and they're just sucking everybody dry in every way they could possibly think of. It's up to us to change the system. And it's whatever it looks like to you. To some of you, it might be buying a cabin in the woods, being totally off grid and just ignore society. For others, it might be getting on the rooftop and screaming. For others, it might just simply be sharing this video.
Right. Everybody can do something. We all have choices, and it's important to make them. And we don't have to live under the controller's thumb. We can choose differently.
Absolutely. And you could bask in the sun with no cares as well.
Yes.
God bless and namaste.
Namaste.